Now, we got some more breaking news for you now, just coming into us in the last few moments, and it's that a prison officer has had their throat slashed with an improvised weapon at HMP Woodhill. And this comes just moments after we were hearing from the Justice Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, on Labour's plans for prison expansion and indeed early releases. Charlie Peters joins us now. Charlie, this is a very concerning story. Tell us more.
Yes, Martin, and it comes as there have been 3 separate extreme violence incidents against prison officers in the last 24 hours. We're being told by the Prison Officers Association that the incident you're just referring to there, a officer had their throat slashed by an improvised weapon at HMP Woodhill, which is in Milton Keynes, a Category B prison. And we're also being told that in a separate incident at the same jail, another officer was attacked by a man who's been detained under the Terrorism Act of 2008. We're also being told that at Gartree Prison in Market Harborough, a female officer sustained a broken arm and another officer had a TV thrown at them after an inmate pretended to have an epileptic seizure and then attacked prison officers after they attended to the scene. The GB News also understands that there was a serious assault at HMP Woodhill on Friday, which is near Redditch in Worcestershire, where an officer was headbutted. We've been told by sources that an officer had his face split open, had his spray taken off him, which was then used against guards who attended to the incident. And Martin, this comes after a further string of violent incidents against prison officers in the last few weeks. Let's not forget that Hashim Abedi, the brother of the Manchester Arena bomber Salman Abedi, attacked 3 officers at a prison in the northeast of England. 3 guards were injured there with hot oil. Also, convicted murderer John Mansfield was killed last month at HMP Whitemoor in Cambridgeshire, and Axel Ruder Cabana, the Southport massacre murderer, also attacking a prison officer at HMP Belmarsh in South London. And Martin, we're just hearing some reaction now from the Prison Officers Association against this string of incidents coming, as you say, as Shabana Mahmood made that intervention. This is Steve Gillen, the General Secretary, saying that escalating levels of violence are out of control in the prison service. He says that it appears that the prison service have learnt nothing. They continue to ignore the calls from our members on the front line for urgent action. Now, all of these incidents of violence from the last 24 hours have come as the prison service is conducting a snap review into the use of protective body armour. But Martin, that's 3 separate incidents in the last 24 hours, at least 4 officers injured from that, and an additional incident, we're being told, of a head being split open on Friday at another prison. Martin, these prisons, the violence, it's chaos.
Charlie Peters, grimly prophetic that just moments ago at that press conference, the statement that I wrote down here, packed prisons are dangerous prisons. It's felt for a long time, Charlie Peters, they are accidents waiting to happen. And here we are, Charlie Peters. Thanks for bringing us up to speed as ever. Thank you.
A prison officer has been attacked and had their throat slashed at a prison in Buckinghamshire. The incident was one of 2 attacks on officers at Woodhill Prison in just 24 hours. In the other incident, a prison officer was allegedly assaulted by a terrorist prisoner. GB News has been told of a further 2 attacks on officers at Gartree Prison and HMP Woodhill. Well, the attacks come as the Justice Secretary has set out plans to address prison overcrowding, branding the previous government's management of the prison system as shameful. Shabana Mahmood confirmed £4.7 billion of investment would be used to build 3 new prisons and fund new cells at existing prisons. But she said that further changes were needed to this system for recalling offenders back to jail for bad behaviour. The government plans to introduce more limited and fixed recall periods for those serving sentences of less than 3 years. Her proposals come as the latest weekly prison population in England and Wales hits 88,087, 99% of capacity.
It is shameful that this country in 2025 finds itself in this cycle of crisis. The last Conservative government failed to reckon with the reality of a rising prison population. When Labour was last in government, we increased prison capacity by 28,000 places. In their 14 years in power, the Conservatives added just 500 additional places, leaving our prisons on the brink of collapse.
So let's cross now to Downing Street and speak with GB News' reporter Adam Cherry, who was in that briefing there on the state of our prison systems with Shabana Mahmood. Adam Cherry, I just lamented the fact that a journalist such as yourself wasn't allowed to ask a proper question, and that is, what about deporting 10,000 foreign criminals? I thought you got a very easy ride by the journalists. You were in the room. Tell us more.
Yeah, you're right, Martin. It's a shame we didn't get to ask that question, but nonetheless, we heard from the Justice Secretary outlining really the terrible situation our prison system is in. And by November this year, on the current trajectory, there will be no space left for adult males in the prison system, and it risks completely collapsing the law and order system in this country. Just unbelievable to see the figures and see where we're heading here. Of course, look, there's no way that we can build enough prisons immediately, and that's at least what the Justice Secretary was saying. Therefore, we're going to have to release people early who, under normal circumstances, should not be released. Now, this is all ahead of the sentencing review coming from David Gauke next week, and we expect that in that review, it will recommend that sentences are reduced for thousands of offenders. The interesting thing about that, and one thing I would have liked to ask the Justice Secretary as well, is that she was very, very critical of previous Justice Secretaries from the Conservative government and said it was shameful, it was their failure. OK, but the person you've just commissioned to write that sentencing review happens to be a former Conservative Justice Secretary, so can we really trust his sentencing review at all? Why have you appointed this man? But nonetheless, we didn't get to ask those questions. I'm sure GB News viewers will have very strong views on all of that, Martin.
Yeah, it was really, really quite an eye-popping revelation, admission. An admission of total failure. Successive governments, fine. No one really cares anymore. They care about the here, they care about the now, and they're being told, prime yourself for more early releases. They're being told it's going to cost an extra 4.7 billion quid to build these NICs, which, by the way, won't even be ready till 2031. Successive governments seem to have been totally asleep at the wheel. Now, thank you very much, Adam Cherry. Always a pleasure.
At GB News, we believe in the power of free speech. We're not afraid to ask the tough questions, challenge the status quo, and give you a voice. While others silence dissent, we champion the truth. By becoming a GB News member, you're not just supporting free speech, you're defending it. Please consider supporting us today. Together, we'll hold the powerful to account and make sure that your voice is always heard. Simply go to gbnews.com/support and stand with us for what matters most.